Good evening. My name is Leland Garvin. I am a criminal defense attorney in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm actually recording this right now from a camcorder that I purchased last night at BrainSmart. It's not going to be edited very well. I'm just starting kind of doing this myself. I wanted to start a series of videos educating people on the law. Specifically in this case, I wanted to talk about DUI law and the subject of roadblocks. With the holidays coming up, law enforcement will be out in full force. There's no question about it. One of the tools that law enforcement has used as it relates to the enforcement of DUI law is the roadblock. Roadblocks allow law enforcement to net a very large amount of individuals who are in fact driving under the influence or driving impaired. Because roadblocks are intrusive, because every car has to stop, because it is a seizure within the Fourth Amendment, you are not free to leave. You are effectively seized. You've got to go into the roadblock. Because it is a seizure within the meaning of the Fourth Amendment, there are rules that the courts have determined law enforcement must follow. There's three big things that the courts in Florida look at. First, they look at whether or not there's a detailed procedure and guidelines in place. The goal of this is they want to leave as little discretion as possible to the individual law enforcement officer on the scene. They want to know, are they stopping every fourth car? Are they stopping every fifth car? What is the procedure for the stop? Is there a point man, a guy with a light who's going to direct them to the second guy, who's going to do X, Y, or Z? They want this all detailed and written out so that the court can actually review this procedure. And the big goal of that is limiting discretion of individual officers. The next element that the court looks at, I guess number 2 here, is safety. Safety to individuals on the road, safety to people who are stopped or drawn into this roadblock. The big things that that the courts look at is lighting. What was the lighting? Was it a safe area? What were the warning signals? Was this clearly marked? Were there barricades? Were there lights? Were there cones? Were there road flares? The other thing is whether or not law enforcement was clearly identifiable. Were they wearing safety gear? Were they wearing clearly marked uniforms? One of the things here, in terms of the warning to the public that you often will see is the fact that these DUI roadblocks are published in the newspaper. They are published on the sheriff's website or the local newspaper website. So I would encourage you during the holidays, if you're going to go out and be on the streets, then you should know where these checkpoints are and when. The third thing is the length of the detention. The courts look at how long is an individual detained as part of this roadblock. Depending on the length of time, the courts may find that's an unreasonable detention and could invalidate the entire roadblock. If, for any one of these reasons, the entire roadblock is invalidated, anyone who is arrested or who has been arrested as a result of this roadblock, their case is going to be dismissed. So if you're ever stopped as a result of a roadblock, you are going to want to talk to an attorney. You're going to want to look into this issue. If you go and resolve your case a day prior, and then the next day they go and the court ultimately rules that this roadblock was unconstitutional, you are going to miss out. Now you're going to be on probation or God knows what. The two things I wanted to leave you with in this webcast was the Fifth and Sixth Amendment. Two very important things. The Fifth Amendment says, in part, that you can't be compelled to testify against yourself in a criminal proceeding. Basically, you don't have to talk. You hear about people pleading the Fifth. I would encourage you to exercise this right because the government has the burden, the prosecution has the burden of proving that you or any individual committed a crime, and they have to do so beyond and to the exclusion of a reasonable doubt. The more you say, the more you talk, the more information you give them, the more they'll have to use in their case. You want to plead the fifth by not talking. You also want to exercise your Sixth Amendment right. This one may be a little bit self-serving because I am an attorney, but it is a very important right. Even if ultimately you don't have the funds or are not going to go and hire a private attorney, you still want to ask for an attorney. If you can't afford one, one will be provided to you. Once you say, in order to invoke your Sixth Amendment right, all you have to do is say, I want a lawyer. Clearly say, I want a lawyer. Once you have invoked this right, that right stays with you during the entire course of prosecution. You ask for it at point A, you'll have a lawyer all the way through, or more importantly, the police can't come back and question you without that attorney present. A very important right. I hope that some of these tips were helpful. I hope that you enjoyed this, and the fact of the poor quality recording or my poor speaking ability didn't take away from the video. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a ring. My telephone number is area code 954-524-2424. Again, area code 954-524-2424. My name is Leland Garvin, and please check out my website. It's www.garvinlegal.com. So that's www.garv as in Victor, I-N, legal, L-E-G-A-L.com, or feel free to give me a call. Thank you for listening, and have a safe and happy holidays.